Are you kidding me? Come on. Unicorn. Stop it. Stop this. Look at this. This is around a guard in Lillard and a finish over a 7-footer. Oh, man. Special talent. A special talent.
So the San Antonio Spurs are severely underperforming, with the worst record in the West, a bottom 5 team in the league, and on pace to not even crack 25 wins. The Spurs right now suck as an NBA team. And there's been a lot of talk recently on how the Spurs are ruining Wemby and how his teammates don't want him to succeed. And today I want to explain my main reasons for why the Spurs are underperforming and what it will take for them to get things back on track. But before I get into any of that, if you like this video, subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications. Any engagement helps with the channel and it is much appreciated. And if you like the way I talk, you can check out my other channel, which is a basic channel URL, where I post other things I'm interested in that are not basketball. So as I stated earlier, the San Antonio Spurs are underperforming, but I believe there are 3 main reasons as to why they're underperforming. And to start those reasons off, first I need to give y'all a little bit of context. In the 2024 NBA draft, the Spurs looked out and got the opportunity to select basketball phenom and GOAT prospect Victor Wembanyama, the man who's supposed to revolutionize the game as we know it. As Victor is a 7'3" big man who has drawn comparisons to the likes of KD, LeBron, and more NBA greats, which in most people's eyes is a good thing, but I believe that this is one of the main reasons why the Spurs are underperforming. Now, I'm not trying to say that I believe Wemby is the problem. As a matter of fact, I believe Wemby is really the only thing that the Spurs got going on for themselves. And in that statement lies our first problem, because Victor Wembanyama is so good at such a young age that it's propelled the Spurs' expectations, and it might have skewed some people's ideas as to where the Spurs should belong in the standings. And yes, like I said, Wemby is great, but when you look at the rest of the roster, it's just not that good of a roster. The 15th seed in the West, 4 games behind the next worst West team, which is the Trailblazers, and a bottom 3 team in the league, only ahead of the Wizards and the Pistons, who haven't even won 10 games. But it doesn't stop there, because the Spurs are a top 5 team when it comes to losing the ball, as they have the 15th most turnovers of any NBA team this season and are top 5 in turnovers per game. To say they're underperforming is an understatement, but that doesn't mean I'm writing them off, because the Spurs are second in assists when it comes to assists per game. So that means the guys are getting the ball and they're scoring whenever possible. They're a top 5 team in blocks, although most of that can be attributed to Wemby. But my main point being, the Spurs are an inexperienced team that lose close game situations against better experienced teams. They don't have a lot of continuity together compared to some of the more veteran experienced teams. And another reason I believe the Spurs are underperforming this season is a lot of people have been trying to compare the Spurs' young core to that of the Oklahoma City Thunder, a team of young talented guys. The OKC Thunder are currently the 2nd team in the West and are the 2nd youngest team in the league, just behind the Spurs, who are the youngest team in the league. But the path that the Spurs and the Thunder have taken to get here are 2 completely different paths. The Thunder are led by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a 2-time All-Star that recently started his first All-Star game this season. But he's also a player who's really broken out in the last few years and is in serious talks for MVP contention. But none of this came suddenly when you really look at this situation, because Shai's been on the Thunder for 6 years now, having been traded back in 2019 in the Paul George trade, even spending 1 season of his career playing alongside Chris Paul, the lone season that Chris Paul was in Oklahoma. They made the playoffs that season, getting bounced in 7 games against the Westbrook Harden-led Rockets, and it was only once Chris Paul really left that the Thunder looked like a rebuilding franchise. However, the main difference, as far as from what I see it, is that when it comes to the Thunder, the main pieces for the rebuild were already there. With SGA and Lou Dort, the lone survivors from the 29th season with Chris Paul, they've been amazing, both of them starting 53 and 52 games for the Thunder this year respectively. And like I said, SGA has become a star in this league. Yes, they're technically the 2nd youngest team in the league, but the rebuild for the Thunder has been around SGA this whole time. And it's been going on for a while now, as they've slowly added great pieces to fit around their guy. Now, compare this situation to the Spurs, who, for the last few years, after the departure of players like Tim Duncan, Manu, Ginobili, Kawhi, and much more, The Spurs have been a directionless team in my opinion, and it wasn't until after LaMarcus and DeRozan were off the team that the Spurs embraced the rebuild. Because I knew, and anybody watching knew, DeRozan and Aldridge isn't going to win you a championship. So is that rebuilding? Not really, but it's pretty much just wasting time. And it wasn't until the DeJounte to Atlanta trade that the Spurs really committed to the rebuild. Waiving players that weren't on our timeline, trading promising talent that was too good to help us lose, and signing whoever looked like they could possibly even be a little bit good until they found that next guy that could take them to the promised land. And luckily for the Spurs, they didn't have to wait long, as only 1 year after having traded DeJounte, the Spurs landed Wemby, the generational talent we've all been talking about. The only problem now is that he's the guy, and everyone that signed before him was sold on the possibility that they could be the guy. Players like Keldon, Trey Jones, Devin Vassell, this isn't to knock or diss these guys, as they're talented players and they're obviously still finding their role in the league. But when you get to play next to a player like Wemby, you either learn how to play next to Wemby or you play somewhere else. And that's what I believe the Spurs are doing this year. This year is finding out who can play with Wemby and who should be moved in the offseason. And again, this isn't shade to these guys, as tenured players in the league at this point. If they feel like they don't have to defer to a player like Wemby, that's fine. The Spurs signed them to do their thing, just as they signed Wemby to do his thing, but before they signed Wemby. I'm pretty sure we all remember the clips of Cavs players talking to the media on their thoughts on the young LeBron James before he was drafted.
We have better players than him in his position already on our team, though. His potential is probably, the sky's the limit for him, though. Good LeBron is just going to add to what we need and, just make things a little bit easier.
And he would come in and make an immediate impact like a Caron Butler, did for the Miami Heat. I don't think you can really just bring a high school player in and really just think your team gonna really turn around like that. If he come, he can just hop on our bandwagon and hopefully we can do something big.
And don't forget, there is one good thing about being at the bottom. You only got one place to go, and that's up.
Now, I say this to say the players have a right to feel how they feel, and I don't believe they're intentionally trying to sabotage Wemby. And the Spurs should be a fun team with a winning record and a winning culture, and I believe they do have a winning culture, but I don't believe that they should be a top team in the league or even a middle of the pack team, as they've done nothing up to this point to convince me that they've done anything to win 45 games or more. Yes, they've shown that they can get a spark and they can heat up and they can win a good game or two, but in the NBA, to be good, you have to be great, and to be there, you need to be consistent. And that's just something that comes with time and continuity. But let me know what y'all think. Am I tripping, or should the Spurs really be a better team of what they are when you compare their situation to the rest of the league and their situations? And for those of you still here, please, for me, if you like the video, subscribe. And if you like this video, you'll most likely find my other videos interesting. So I would say check out those videos as well. Also, like I said earlier, follow me on my Instagram and my Twitch. Those will be in the description at the bottom. But other than that, to whoever is watching, thank you so much. Like I said, I do believe that the Spurs are a really good team, or I believe that one day they'll be a really good team. I do believe that Wemby is a very promising player and that he is potentially the guy that can lead the Spurs to a championship. But I don't believe they should be one of those top teams. I don't even believe they should be close to those teams, and I don't believe they have the roster that they need to really be winning with Wemby, because up until this point, they've just been drafting players to draft players. They didn't have that guy, and with Wemby, they got that guy. But like I said, y'all saw the video. To whoever is watching, thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the video again. Like, subscribe, and y'all have a good rest of y'all's night. I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.